Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we'll set the Sanhedrin daf Kuf Yud Beis. We are going to begin on Kuf Yud Beis with Aleph by the two dots about 6 lines from the top. So we're learning about the dinim of an irani dachas, and we say the din in which the city, its inhabitants that are Oived Avodah Zarah, will get the punishment of Saif and we destroy their properties. Ad shiyudach ruba. It's only if the majority of the people are involved in Avodah Zarah. The question is, how on earth are we able to do this? Says Rashi, nasin ruba nidochem hoyel tasrichan edem hasra. Since we need to give witnesses and warning, and they have to go through an individual judgment of sorts, so then how is it possible that we could render a majority of people in a very large city Ir Nidacha? So Rabbi Yehuda, I guess one answer you can say is, well, it's a city may only have a few hundred people in it. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda, so he says, Danin, we taka will judge. However, v'chayvshin, we wait. Danin v'chayvshin, like we'll put them in jail. Says Rashi, kisharoyin bezo gimel mehem oivim vodazara. Once we say, let's say a pattern, is there a couple of people that are already idol worshippers, so we're not going to kill them. We're going to basically hold all the people. Basically what we're going to do, and okay, it doesn't matter, it has had to be done all on the same day. Okay, maybe there's a din of Inoi or whatever. You're not supposed to masanis a din to hold back judgment or to kill someone who's guilty, but that's only when there is verification of what to do. But if not, you can just put him in jail. So therefore, even though he was found guilty for Avodah Zarah, we're not going to give him skila like a yachid, because it may end up being a city of irani dachas. So therefore, we're going to hold him until that happens. So again, that's the kasha, that how could you allow this, because you're going to be holding these people after Gemar Din. Again, the question is, maybe that's not considered to be a Gemar Din, because Gemar Din means it's over, but it's not over here. So that's how maybe they could answer it. Actually, we're going to judge and we're going to kill them right away. And Rashi says, ad chatzien, until half. So the first half will be like Yechidim. And then afterwards, then if there's more, reach the majority, then we will have them killed. This is question 1a. Because you're ma'anas a din. Okay, let's keep going. Itmar. Rav Yochanan Omer dan v'soikin dan v'soikin. Rav Shakash Omer meravan lehen bati dinim. So now we have a different opinion, Rav Yochanan, which we have heard, that we just kill them right away. And then eventually, if the majority of the people are Avodah Zarah, then we'll start changing the dinim to Saif. Rav Shakash says no. We just bring a whole bunch of bunch of judges. Says Rashi, Lamishim de'ein done in beis b'yom echad. It's not because you can't judge two people in the same day. The amr b'perek nigmar din de b'misa achas donin. If it's all the same death penalty, so it's not as difficult, and therefore you could judge. El mishum de nefishi edim v'cholech, because we have to interrogate all these witnesses. It's not enough time to do it all in one day. So so we have more judges. So all the people's testimonies and witnesses can be accepted on one day. And there'll be a Gemar Din on one day, which is question 1b. Lisharecha. So Marvel had bati dinim la'ayin bedinon. So just to be ma'ayin in the din, umaskin lahu based in hagadol, and then they're brought to based in gadol. So basically, the idea is that at least they go through the process of understanding the whole case with these extra dayanim. This is actually what we see now. You take out the man or the woman. Man or woman, you take out to your gate. You can't take the whole city to the gate. So how do we understand this? Says Rashi, with sharecha is lebastin shibur sharecha, the bastin in your city. The Hainu Sanhedrin katana, v'yata moitzi el b'Sanhedrin gedayla. So how do we understand this? So Ella, this is how he explains. Marvlehen bati dinim. We have a lot of judges uma'ayinim b'dineihim, and again they're ma'ayin into the cases to understand what's going on. Says Rashi, ima havim merubin v'im hudchu ruba malam eskulin lebesin gadol. They basically figure out, is it true that there are so many people that will become a rove? Then you bring them to the base in the gadol. Umaskinu who base in the gadol, they come. That's what happens. Garmel who dinayu v'katu who they learn about the dinim and then they're all killed. Hakatakis es yoshia ir v'chulu tanu rabbanon. Hachameres v'gameles. When it comes to these donkey drivers, camel drivers, they're not permanent residents. They are temporary residents. So they're able to save the whole city. If they're not idol worshippers, they could be causing problems if they are idol worshippers, even though they're not permanent residents. They sleep over v'hudchu ima, and they also worship idols with them. So im nishtahu sham lamed yoim, if they're there for 30 days, hang b'sayim v'monam avad. So therefore that will be enough, let's say it's 50-50 without them, for that to tip the scales, because they're avodah zarah, that they are counted as part of the people of the city to make a rove. Palchas mekan, if they're for less than 30 days, hang b'skil v'monam polat. They don't have a rove, and therefore they are the monies aren't destroyed. Minhi, what do you mean it's a 30-day cut? It's 12 months, not 30 days. So Maravu Kasha, ha Mahavi Mibnei Masa, ha Mahavi Miyasvi Masa. To be considered Bnei Masa, says Rashi, Litin Lutzarchair, to have to pay like taxes, you have to be there 12 months. She Niku Kibnei Ir. Niku Bapachs Miyud Beischadish is not less than 12 months. Avol, like to be called Yoshve'ir, someone who dwells there, Kivan Shalom and Yom, which is the 30 days, Nirkaman She'ir, you can to be among the people in the city. Akrin Behu as Yoshve'ir Hahu, because the Pasuk says Yoshve'ir. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily a B'nai Masa, but you're still considered to be the Yasve Masa. People are Yoshve'ir. V'hasanya, and this is Rashi's Menachus is a proof. Hamaydu Hanam B'nai Ir, the person makes a neder against the people in the city. If the guy is there for 12 months, you can't get hana from him. Because the language in the neder was mibnei ha'ir, which is 12 months. However, if your neder was b'yosh ha'ir, so im nishtal amad yom aser lehanos mimenu. Pachas mekan mutter lehanos mimenu. So we see clearly in a neder, the lashon haneder, and dibur lashon kamani adam. So when it comes to that, the din is a distinction between 12 months and 30 days, whether you're considered to be just yasir or b'nei masa. Okay, weiter. Hacherim oisav yaskol asher ba hechrem esa oisav yaskol asher ba v'chu. So we'd basically destroy everything. Tanaban. Hacherim osa. So you destroy it. Yes, kol asher ba. What is that coming to exclude? As we saw already, that when it comes to the possessions of a tzaddik outside of the city, so then it's not going to be destroyed. Says Rashi, She'im hayu tzaddikim dorim b'toich. If they live in that city, v'havu nechasim mufkadim b'makom acher, and they have items elsewhere, b'yad acherim, in someone else's possession, ein machrimin oisa, so it's not destroyed. Avol nechasim sheishahem ba'oisa ir machrimin oisa. However, the stuff that is in the city is destroyed. Okay. Yes, kol asher bal rabos nechse sadikim shebasaycha. Certain possessions that are in, it's even of a tzaddik, but it's in the city of Eridachas is destroyed. Shalol shel shemayim. It says the spoils, but not of shemayim, like hektish and the like, or maybe sifri kaidish. Yes, kol shel rabos nechse rishayim shebechutzlah. So when it comes to a rasha, even the stuff that's outside of the city is also destroyed. Rav Shimon, Rav Shimon, who always is darsh time of the Kra, beautifully says, why would we destroy the tzaddikim's possessions? They didn't do anything wrong. I understand the Rishayim, they're idol worshippers, they destroy their property, that's their punishment. I don't understand it, but that's their punishment. But what did the tzaddikim do to destroy their possessions? Because mi garm lehem she died of b'toicha mimaynam lafichach mimaynam avad. Beautiful word, midah keneged midah, because the only reason why would they live in such a terrible city with people worship idols, that's just not a good environment, they're only doing it for monetary benefit. And therefore, since they lived in a bad town, which is a bad influence, just because of money, so therefore the very punishment will be that the money that they made is going to be destroyed. Omer Mar, yes, kol shalola tikbites, rabas nechsi rishayim shebechutzlah. Omer Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda says, now, what does that mean? Let's look at Rashi. Rashi says, Nichse Rishayim, when it comes to the possessions of the Rishayim, HaKroivin Le'ir, that are close to the city, Shichayin L'Kabsa B'Saycha Ir B'Oisa Yayim Atzma, that you can gather it during that one day, Shikainsin Shala Ir L'Chayiv, that you can bring it to the town square, Sarfan, to burn it, Hein Oy Avudinimo, that's what's destroyed. Of Rechaikim, if it's far away, the In Megin L'Ir, you can't get it in one day, in Avudim, that will not be destroyed. V'davka Shkvar Hoyu L'Saycha, that's only, by the way, if it was ever in the city. El Hashem Yachshav Hoyu Mufkadim Biyad Acherem, now it's just elsewhere. Of Lo Hoyu B'Oyel B'Toich, it was never there, going to Naflahem Yerusha, Lord Krin Be Shalol of Ein Hamaman Avad. So it's interesting, if let's say you inherited a piece of property from a relative, it's obviously not in that city, so therefore it's not part of the point. It's only that it also became contaminated money by being into the city, and then even though it's not in there anymore, it's destroyed, but only within that day time frame. Question 2a. Pigdoinoi shel ir hanidachas nimsom be'ir acheres, ma dinim b'nikmatzim b'toicha uvoyim uve'ei nikbatzim. So he says, nikbatzim l'toicha surin, anything that went in is usur. Ein nikbatzim l'soicha matar, and anything that did not go in before is mutar. According to the sheet of Rav Chisda. Amar Rav Chisda, pigdoinoi shel anshi ir hanidachas, this is also part of this question. When it comes to entrusted objects of an ir nidachas mutar, hechadami ilema de ir acheres, it's from another city, v'isnehu begavon, you brought it in, pshita the mutar, la shlolhu, it's not from your city, ve'eladidhu, it's owned by these people, v'isnehu bir acheres, if it's in another city, so it's like this, idikabsin l'saycha amay mutar, and understand, even if it's from another city, but why would it be mutter if it actually came into that city on that day? It never got there. We already said this. There was possessions that belonged to another city that was put into this city. You accepted achrayas. That you accepted achrayas on this item, kididedam, it's like yours kamashmon. The chiddush is, it's not. So even though it's true that you accepted achrayas, so you think maybe it would be destroyed, the answer is it is not. So it says, bein kibul in achrayas, bein lo kibul in achrayas mutarin. In either situation, it is always going to be mutter. Okay. And Mahin Pigdoina Shel Rishoy Irdidachas She'etzel Acherim. So this is question TB1. I wrote Im Yochel Lakach has to be Dainis Al Oiso Hayoim B'Yoim Echad Oz Zegam Tisaref Im Ir Aval Im Ze Yosim Mehilach Yom Echad Lo. That's, I'm not sure if that's all they're looking for over there, but that's a little bit of the answer. Again, it may also be totally on even when it comes to something which you may want to know the achrayas piece as well. Okay. This point that it belonged to someone else, but it's in the city, but you're makabel achrayas on it, but since it's not yours, it's mutter. Omer Rav Chisda behema chetzia shel yer nidachas v'chetzia shel yer nidachas. Let's say you have an animal with partners, and one owner is in the city, and one owner is not in the city. So we say it's aser, because as we can understand that it's impossible to be able to split it up, because it's in the shamash, it's a davar in the shama tluya boy. So therefore, it's aser. Isa chetzah shel yer nidachas v'chetzah shel yer nidachas acheres muteres, because you can split it up. My time a behema command loy pligadamya. You can't divide it up. Isa command pligadamya. You could divide up the dough and split it in half. Boy Rav Chisda behema yer nidachas. When it comes to the animal yer nidachas, mahu de tisnahani ba shchita l'tahara midei nevela. So he asked the kasha. First of all, let's look at this Rashi, Kamando Pliga. The Yefshel Kazais Basar Shchita. You can't eat without Shchita. But if you Shachta, Mishchat, in Mishchitasu Klum, it's nothing. The Lula Shchita Kayama El Lamisa, because it's supposed to be killed. Shchitasa Zuhi Misa Sabahema. Then Heter Afil Achatzi. There's no, even that half is not mutter. Ching Shel Nidachas, Dochi Shachal the Simon. Okay, that's the idea. So even if you shecht it, it's not gonna work. All right. So the question is, does at least the shechita remove this element of tuma, that it's not going to have a din tuma? Again, you can't eat it even if it's shel shutvin, but if you shecht it, so does that at least remove the issue of nevela? So maybe it doesn't make a difference how you kill it. Since you did do the shchita, maybe it helps my teku. Boy Rav Yosef, Seir Noshim Sidkani Ismahu. When it comes to the hair of the righteous women, even though they're in an ir nidachas, what is the din by its hair? Does that have to be destroyed? So Omer Rava ha darshius. Ha the Rishayim aser. That which belongs to the Rishayim is aser. Now, Shitalan says Rashi, the Sarif im Sholahir, that when it comes to that of a wicked, should be destroyed. Tikvas we gather up, the Sarafta ksiv, that's burnt. Mishainu Mechusar Ela Kvitza V'Sarefa. That's only someone who is the only thing you do is you gather and burn it. Understand? Even when it comes to the hair of a woman who's a Russia, we want to say maybe it should be burnt, but maybe it's not so poshut because you'd have to cut it off first, and therefore it's an extra step which the pasuk doesn't say. So maybe you don't have to do that. Elam Rava bepen nachris. We're talking about a shaitel, a wig, right? So it's already been cut off. And Rashi says, interesting, Gedosh Saris the Alma Shoisel Noi, right? That it's used to beautify someone. Hey Chidami. It's interesting. Like a wig, some women look nicer in a wig than their regular hair, which seems like what Rashi's saying. Hey Chidami. Ida Mechuber Begufa. Doesn't mean it's mamish attached to her, but it means if she's wearing it, Kegufa Damya, so then it's considered like her herself. And says Rashi, Shem Shein Sarfin Milvushin Shalain, we don't burn her clothes. Shar Sidkanya saying she's righteous. Kach Ein Sarfin Iso Gadil. So she should make sure she's wearing her shaitel. So Lotzricha de Tali B'Sivta. It's hanging on a nail. In other words, it's on the shaitel head, right? So, Kinixit Tzadikim Shebasay Chadami, is it considered to be like Nechasim of the tzaddik which is in the city of Avad that's destroyed? The Dilma. Kivan di Ayla v'navka kelvusha dami teku. But since she uses it when she goes in and out, so therefore maybe it's taka considered to be like a malbush, and therefore, says Rashi, regil l'kaishra tadir, she's usually wears it. Aval pi shlo kishar to ashna, she's not wearing it right now. Kol makam she yisham nidain kemalbush sheleha. It's like she always wears it. The whole shaita de ata leha ukishar malbushin dami. It's like regular garments. Fine. So that's the kasha, and again teku. The eskoshel tikboitz el toich rechayva v'chul. Tanaban ein lo rechayiv if there's no town square. Ein lo nasas yonidachas. Stay very Shmuel. Rabbi Kiva omer no. Ein lo rechayiv oisen lo rechayiv, as we saw in the Mishnah. So b'makamivli marsav rechayiva miikar mashma marsav rechayiva hashna nami mashma. Doesn't mean that a tak has to be there from before, or you can create it in order to be able to do everything now. Okay. Question TB2. Se'ar mechuber sil sidkaniyos. So, what is the din when it comes to their hair of a tzaddikas or a rasha? Pe'nachris the tzaddikas madina. So this is what I wrote. Se'or shehu mechuber l'roish. If you're wearing it, lo aser, which is mamish hair under your head. Lo aser m'neish sarach litloish as a sayer. You'd have to actually cut off the hair, right? So then everyone would hold taka that it's mutter, right? Because it's only mishenim chusser el kvitza of the sereifa. Yatzazeh shemachusser talisha the kvitza the sereifa. So therefore, that is definitely mutter if it's just your regular hair. Fine. Fine. Avol pe'nachris shel sidkaniyos bizman shehem al harosh shel isha, when it's on her head, lo tisarif ezeh. Avol im zeh al ha, what did I write? Moig? This should be a sifta, or the peg of the door. Ozet teku v'lo yada es apsak. Right. So I said a lot, but l'chayra, that's obviously only referring to its tzaddikas, right? Maybe only its tzaddikas wears a sheitel, right? So that is this sugya over here, in that we end up, if she's not wearing it at that time, then it's a teku. Okay. Okay, weiter. Okay, so we saw in the machlokas whether you can create this rechava afterwards. Kuf yud beis amid beis. Vakdeisha yishba yiftu. When it comes to anything which is hektish, you have to redeem it. Tanaban. Hayuba kadshi kadashim kadshim mizbeach yimusu. If let's say you have something which is holy, which is something which is supposed to be brought in the mizbeach, animals like an ola or a shamos shirashayim, so in that situation, you have to destroy it. Says Rashi, you have to kill it. Says Rashi, Nihidul Akrin Bues Kol Behemta, if he charev, I can understand it's not by the sword, Dalo Behemta. It's not your animal. El Behema Shemayim, belongs to God. However, Ella Miususahu Lahakriv Karbana Shirashayim. It's disgusting, it's repulsive to bring karbanos that belong to a Rasha. These people who were Ovid of Zara, Hilkach Yimusu, they have to die. Kain Tenois Kippah, which we saw before what the Kippah is. Achil Noisut Sa'idin, Shikr Sehim Nivkas, Nefil Demeim Aser, that you can't even use its money. Okay. So Kachi B'dekabayis, however, let's say monies that were designated for the upkeep of the temple or for its building, you have to redeem it. But Trumais, when it comes to Truma, Yurkuv, you have to let it rot. Meiser Sheni, which is brought to Yerushalayim, the Kisvei Hektish and scrolls, Yignozu, need to be buried. Shimon Omer Behemta v'lo Behemas Bachor Meiser. Only your animal and not the animals of Bechor Meiser. The Gemara is going to explain what that means. Shalola. So when it says spoils, Prat Kesev Hektish, that's coming to exclude the kesef of hektish, the kesef meiser, as well as the kesef of meiser. Omar. So now we're going to understand this whole piece. Hayuba kadashim kadshem mizbeach emusu. Have to kill it. Yamai emusu yurachi estavu. Why do we want to kill it? Let it just graze until it develops a mum. The machru, then you can sell. V'yibul demehim l'nadava. And then that money you can give us nadava. So Rav Yochanan zevach Hashem toeva. We don't want that either, because the karbanos of Hashem is an abomination. Shach Hashem mamun balam hu v'hach b'chadjim shechai b'achriyusan Rav Shimon diyemer mun balam hu. We're talking about a situation where there is a chiva achrayis, you have to replace it, and therefore, since it's kadshim kalim, like for example, bechor, that's a kadashim kalim. So in that situation, it's mamun balam according to Rav Yosef Glili. It says Rav Shimon that it's mamun balam, and therefore, because of that, it's belongs to the owner. It has to be destroyed. So it says Rashi, okay. I'm going to say Rav Shimon, he racial Rav Shimon. So because Shem Kalam Rav Yossi. Oh, so the first one was talking about just Kadshim. So now we end up saying, okay, that's I missed this piece. Kadashim Kalam, believe in Rav Yossi, Glidim Kadashim Kalam, Maman Balim, Aval Kadashim, like a carbon oil mai, Yifdu, that taka should be redeemed and not killed. The only time it's killed is if it's Kadashim Kalam, because it's Maman Balim, that's when it's killed. At a tani seifa kajim benekabayis yifdu. Why do we talk about benekabayis? V'lifnus b'dida. B'minimum kadashim kalim. When it comes to kadashim kalim, it's killed. Avol kachi kadashim yifdu. Why do we want to talk about? Why don't we distinguish between kadshim and kashim kalim? So why are we talking about kachi benekabayis to make the distinction? Talking about karbanos. So kivan di ikachata shemesu baleha dolamisa is a little psikole, because a carbon chatas, which is kachi kadashim, normally we're going to say maybe it's yifdu, but since when it comes to a chatas that the owner died, that also is killed. So therefore, upsikole, we don't want to include any cases of kachi kadashim, because there are exceptions. Sometimes it's redeemed, sometimes it's killed. Okay. Question 3. 1 second. Fine. So look at this Rashi. The Lid Rabbi saying in Parakama the Baba Kama. Umalo moyo b'Hashem Rav's kadashim kalam shehim b'moinim. V'hoyim b'moinim heim asurim b'hana. They fill the meim behemta mikru. Even the value of these animals as well. Okay. Question 3. Tanu Banan Hoyim b'Kachim Mizbeach Yamusu. Madua will yifdu with the mayim. Why don't you just redeem it? So one is Rabbi Yochanan is like Rabbi Yochanan says Zevach Hashem Toeva. Reish Lakish says we're talking about Kadashim Kalam according to Rabbi Yosef Glili the Yomer Maman Balamho. Okay, which may be the same question as TA1. Talking about Hayu Bob Yarnidachas Kachim is Bechimusu. Madua will yifdu b'mamoinam. Yep, same question. It actually says there's 3 answers to this. Kufiyad Beis Mud Beis. So this is TA1. Let's put this over here, TA1. So again, obviously one is talking about because of Zevach Hashem Toeva, or Kashim Kalim, or it says Kadashim Shechab Yachriyusan of Rav Shimon. Yemer Moman Balamhu. Okay, so that's a more difficult answer. So there's maybe Taka's 3 answers. The Bishlam Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish said Zevach Hashem Toeva. I understand why Rabbi Yochanan is not going to say like Reish Lakish, because we already have his answer is because he quotes a pasuk. Rabbi Yochanan quotes a pasuk, so he's not going to say like Reish Lakish. He has a pasuk. Reish Lakish might tell Rabbi Yochanan. Why does he say it's because of the pasuk? So. Well, right. So I understand. Reish Lakish might tell Rabbi Yochanan. So Kiyamrin is Zevach Toeva Hani Milehecha de Isnebi Nayu. The toeva is the animal itself. Once you change it, it changed it, and therefore it's not a toeva anymore. Now, what did that mean? That only your animal, not an animal that belongs to Bechor or Meiser, referring to Meiser Behema. So my skin, what he's talking about? Ilema b'timimin. If we're talking about these animals are tamim, they're blemish free. Look at this Rashi before. Lupsikale, when it comes to Chatas Shemesu Baleha, so Rashi says, Lemisti Kachik Dash and Dachas Yur to Givan de Mesu Lehem Oisim Rishayim Ika Chatay Shapir Shbachayehim. If let's say it was separated in his lifetime, Az Lamisa, the Chol Chatos Shemesu Balehim Misois, as we see in Masechtas Horius, Al Vashar Kadosh Shakam Kagam Hashamos Shemesu Balehim Yirau. Okay. Anyway, so what is this referring to? Is it referring to that these animals are tamim? So shol shemayim. So understand it's shol shemayim, right? So it's just no different than shol shemayim. El b'bali mumin. We're talking about, say, a bechor which developed a blemish. So shalolin. So in that case, so these are the spoils of nir nidachas, and we should destroy it because it developed a mum. So Ravino oyel b'bali mumin. The only things that are destroyed are things that you'll be eating because it's your animal. The reason why you're eating is because it's a bechor meiser. Now, even though it's yours, but it's not really behemtacha, like your animal. You're eating it because it's bechor or meiser behema. The shol shemayim because the shol shemayim, therefore it's not included. Upliga de Shmuel, the Yom Shmuel hakoyel karav, everything can be makrib, that kol nif can be redeemed. So my karm, what does he mean? Halchamer. Kol shekarav, anything that could be makrib to the base of mikdash, kishutam, while it's blemish free, v'nifta kishu balmum, if it should get a blemish, then it can be redeemed. So mishol and mayit. So we end up excluding it from shalal, so you don't destroy it. The kol shekarav kishutam, the enu nifta kishu bal mum, you can't, right? Even as a tam, since if the carbon gets a mum, you don't need to redeem it. Okay, we're gonna stop there. A little bit not so deep, because the last daf in this Masechta is somewhat short. Okay, do we get to question 4 yet? No. Okay, TB3. No. TA2. No. Adkan.